Alright, what are we even doing here? This is just ridiculous at this point. I mean, how bad does the cope have to be until we get into the territory of just straight up reality denial? So, Takeru has defeated Rodtang in the rematch and in Takeru's retirement fight. Rodtang being TKO'd or KO'd for the first time in the last 13 years of his career. And the Rodtang fans are not having a good time. I guess they're finally finding out that looking good in TikTok edits does not automatically win you fights at the highest level. Let's take a look at the prevailing online sentiment and some of the most ridiculous comments seen so far. So we see Rodtang took a dive to lose this match, so he can be released from one as a free agent without being sued by one. Also, to make Takeru a champion soon. Also, fight in Japan. Must win for the Japanese hero. Obviously, this match, Rodtang was not aggressive enough. Not his style. Why would they want the Japanese fighter to be the champion? I get they're fighting in Japan, but if you're going to rig a fight, why would you deliberately give your world title belt to a guy who's retiring after this fight? That devalues your title. Rodtang is their biggest star and their biggest moneymaker. Why would you deliberately have him lose? I mean, look at one championship, all of their most viewed videos on YouTube. This guy is by far their biggest star without a doubt. It just makes no sense for them to rig the fight for him to lose to a guy who's retiring. The next comment says, "That's not the Rodtang I know. He deliberately made himself lose, leaving one championship wouldn't be as big as it is now if it weren't for your contribution too. That's not the Rodtang I know, huh?" Well, yeah, because the Rodtang you know just comes from 10-second clips on TikTok hype edits. And again, if they're not saying that it's straight up rigged, they're just not running out of excuses. Obviously, we saw the early stoppage one. That one was great. But how about this? I've seen this happen many times with Thai fighters going into Japan. They have to adjust the time zone and weather and cut weight. They rarely recover fast enough when cutting weight, and their punches and kicks just aren't as powerful. It happened with Tao and Chai and a few others too. Let's take a look at this insane time difference that is just impossible for Thai fighters to adjust to. All of 2 hours. What an insane time difference. Yeah, that had to have affected Rodtang's performance. 2 hours? Are you kidding me? And then they follow up because somebody responds. Yeah, they say this exact same thing. Adjusted the time zone, it's a 2 hours difference. How about last time Rodtang fought Takeru? He knocked him out in less than 2 minutes. I guess that massive time zone difference and weather weren't a factor then, eh? And they respond, Rodtang had to lose almost 9 pounds this time in a short amount of time. He let himself go and was not training, so it is different. This is just stuff I hear them say in interviews after a fight. It's not coming from me. Wow, almost, not even 9 pounds, almost 9 pounds. That might be the world record for cutting weight. We're going to start seeing Rodtang in these TJ Dillashaw weight cut edits. Almost 9 pounds? Yeah, that killed his performance, no doubt. And this is great. Someone comments the same thing. TikTok hype and aura edits had people convinced that Rodtang was genuinely invincible, so they can't even fathom the concept of him losing, let alone by TKO. Also, people seem to have forgotten just how good Takeru is just because he lost a few fights all to all-time greats. Again, this is 100% true. People are focusing so much on the fact that they're saying, oh, Rodtang took a dive, Rodtang was affected by this whole lawsuit with ONE FC. But another thing that they're forgetting is Takeru is one of the best fighters of all time at this weight class. The only people he lost to, think about it, are Tenshin, Superlek, and Rodtang. Those are 3 pound-for-pound all-time greats. Not to mention, he is got to be the heaviest hitter in this weight class. But the reply here is what really gets me. If you watch the fight, you would see that Rodtang is not trying. He just throws a few punches that Takeru can easily block and just stands there to get hit. And there was a moment where he took a lot of punches and was unfazed, so the knockdowns were on purpose. I mean, this is just a joke. If you actually watch the fight, like this guy's saying you should, evidently he must have not watched it, he's getting hit clean. Towards the end of the fight with that finish, when he's trapped in the corner and just taking those shots, he already got rocked really badly just a couple seconds before. So you're in survival mode here. And again, this is all mainly coming from people who have never actually seen full Rodtang fights and likely can't name 3 of his opponents off the top of their head. They say this isn't how Rodtang usually fights, but they don't know how Rodtang usually fights. Yes, he doesn't look the same because you only see him fight in highlights that are highlighting his good moments. Now, I said before that people who say that Rodtang didn't look like himself don't watch his full fights, but at this point, I'm convinced that they didn't even watch this fight because Rodtang absolutely was throwing, and he was throwing hard. That left hook that he knocked Takeru out with in the first fight, he threw that a million times, and he was throwing with power as well. Now, if people aren't familiar with Rodtang and even Muay Thai fighters in general, I could see how they'll say in the first round he didn't look like himself. But if you understand the Muay Thai style, all of these guys, including Rodtang, they always come out slow in the first round. That's just how these Thai fighters do it. So you come out slow in the first round, and then in the second round he gets dropped twice. That's absolutely going to have you rattled and not fighting like you usually do, especially for a guy like Rodtang who's not used to getting knocked down in any of his fights. But even after those 2 knockdowns, you see in the third round and the fourth round, he was still coming out swinging and trying to take Takeru's head off. So he really wasn't being tentative or reserved the way people are saying he was in this fight. I have no idea where they're getting that from. I think they're just seeing the clips of him getting knocked down and after and the finish of the fight where he's sort of in survival mode, and of course he's going to be tentative there. People also don't seem to appreciate just how difficult it is to throw or fix a fight, especially in a sport like kickboxing or MMA, and make it look realistic. I mean, if you look at a fight that a lot of people speculate as being rigged, Ken Shamrock versus Kimbo Slice, you can see these guys in the clinch like talking to each other. And the finish looks really weird, awkward, and sloppy. If you're going to throw a fight, it's really hard to make it look real. And you're definitely not going to let yourself be getting clipped with full force punches straight to the chin like this. If you're going to be taking a dive on purpose, why would you be swinging wildly and connecting with flush shots on your opponent's chin, especially with 2 guys who are known for standing and trading like this? If you're taking a dive, you're not going to take the chance of accidentally knocking your opponent out when you're the one who wants to lose. That's idiotic. And on the other side, again, if you're taking a dive, you're not going to let your opponent connect flush and stand and trade with him in these exchanges as well. Takeru landed a bunch of clean shots, full power, right on Rodtang's jaw. If you're the guy who's taking a dive, you're going to protect your body from further damage and go down earlier. You're not going to fight a 5-round war where you get knocked down 4 times. It's ridiculous. If you look at a guy like Bob Sapp, who is admitted to taking dives in fights, let's take a look at some of his fight clips. He said that he goes in, he collects the paycheck, and he doesn't try to lose necessarily, but at the first sign of any real damage, he gives up because he wants to protect his body long term. That's what these guys do when they're actually taking a dive. I will say the most valid excuse or criticism that people have when it comes to this fight, I still don't 100% agree with it, but it is valid in some way. Obviously, it's been huge news for the past few weeks before this fight that Rodtang was getting sued by One Championship in an amount close to, I believe it was somewhere close to $20 million. Now, obviously, this is going to have an effect on somebody's mental state going into a fight. So everybody's saying, oh yeah, he was just so stressed out from this lawsuit and that affected him and he didn't fight the way he usually would. That's not always the case. You've seen instances in the UFC, kickboxing, boxing of somebody who's going into a fight having had a family member die recently. You have guys like Caleb Plant going and fighting after his daughter died. You'll see this happen all the time because it's super common. I mean, you got to think about it from the other side. Do you think Takeru didn't have pressure or stress based on the fact that it's his retirement fight? This is your last fight ever. The pressure's all on you to perform. This is a rematch against a guy who already knocked you out in the first round. There's even more pressure there. So Takeru had tons of pressure as well. It's about how you let the pressure affect you. Now, I'm in no place to criticize or judge because I'm really just an amateur competitor myself. I've never stepped in the ring in a professional setting, so who am I to judge a guy at the highest level like Rodtang? But what I'm saying is that people have negative things and negative emotions going into every fight, and you can choose to let it bring you down or you can choose to let it motivate you. Like I mentioned before, we've seen countless examples time and time again of people who've had a stressful experience or a traumatic experience very close to a fight, and guess what? They let it drive them and motivate them even more, and they go out there and win. And you have even a Muay Thai legend, two-time world champion Damian Traynor posting on Instagram, Takeru versus Rodtang 2. Takeru was hungrier and wanted it more. It was not fixed. And you have people in the comment section here arguing and disagreeing with the world champion and legend himself. Please, guys, please listen to the world champion here. These guys can recognize if a fight looks fixed or not. Come on. So no hate on Rodtang at all. The dude's a legend for a reason. But the bottom line is, if you think this fight was fixed, you're absolutely brain dead, and the cope seriously needs to stop. But I still would love to hear from anybody who sees this what your thoughts are. If you do think it was rigged, if you think I'm wrong and that I'm an idiot, please let me know. Comment your entire argument. Call me an idiot. Tell me that it's fixed. I'd love to know your rationale and reasoning for why you think that. And if you think this was a legit fight, I want you to argue with those people in the comments too. Let's start some wars here. I want to see 100 reply long comment section chains here. But above all else, you're going to want to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we're going to keep them coming.